March typically would have been a neighborhood meeting, but we decided to change this up a bit for this month for a couple reasons. Primarily, last week, our council had our annual business meeting. And this is something we do each year, and is a combination of the executive committee, the board of directors, and all of our chartered organization representatives. And at that meeting, we presented what we called the state of the council. And it was essentially a series of updates to the board of our COOs, let them know how things are going within our council, what our plans are for the future, and essentially just get them up to date, because we don't speak to our CORs, quite frankly, often enough. And as we were preparing all this information, we were talking amongst ourselves and said, you know, this would be really good content to share with all of our scouters, all of our unit leaders. And so we made kind of the last minute decision to repurpose this month's roundtable to give you guys the state of the council. So you're going to hear from a couple different people tonight. Our council president, Jim Montgomery, is running late. He's on his way, though, he swears. He just texted me. He'll be there. He's going to talk to you a bit about where things are with the council. Mr. Scott Jones, who is our membership chair, is going to be talking to you about membership. I will be giving you an update on unit health as the council commissioner. Whereas Mr. Ryan Harris is going to be giving you an update on where we are with Bear Creek and the Bear Creek Committee and what we have planned for that property this year. And then last, definitely not least, Linda.
Okay.
You all know Linda.
Trash. No trash car. That's fine.
90లో సినిమా ఇది
పాస్ట్ కి వెళ్ళాడు.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Jones. I am your council membership chair. Been in the seat for about a year now, and over the past year, I've really been taking kind of a close look at what our membership, not just what our membership looks like in and out of the council, but looking at different strategies, looking at how we recruit and how we're going to grow scouting in our council. And it's been a very, looking at the data, I've learned a lot. I'm going to kind of preface this with, I will start off with a little bit of bad news, but then I'm going to talk about the road we're going to go forward. So as we came 24 into 25, we once again went in about a 3% loss in scouts. We closed out last year at about 5,400 scouts. This year we closed out a little about 5,200. We recruited about 1,250 scouts last year. So we did a really good job bringing scouts on into the program. However, we took a real hit in our retention rate. Now, if you're Scouts BSA, our retention rate's running about 80%, which is actually pretty good. But unfortunately, at the Cub Scout level, our retention rate right now is sitting right around 50%. We're seeing a huge gap, specifically in our Bears and Wolves, which will here in 2 years be our Weeblos and our AOLs. Another issue that concerns me with our packs right now is we currently have more troops than we do packs. Precisely, let me pull up my number here. We're at 112 versus 80. Now, for those of you who have been in scouting for a while, Scouts BSA, your troops, where do you get your scouts? Where do you get 90% of your scouts? It's from the packs. It's those crossovers. So as we're going into this year, I will say my number one focus is going to be the packs. Making the packs that we have stronger and getting new packs started. Because if we don't kind of reverse this trend, here in about 2 to 3 years, we're really going to feel that hit in our Scouts BSA troops. So now, all that negative said, my team and the growth team over the past year have been refining the membership plan, been executing a large group of different things, and I'm going to kind of start off talking a little bit about what our growth team's been doing. Our growth team rolled into last year hosting workshops for packs and troops. on how to run scout recruiting nights, pack recruiting nights. They also offered additional classes with the help of Jennifer Arnested on how to do marketing, leveraging SMX technology, leveraging all different things. And we had a fairly good turnout. But we can say that, you know, out of the handful of packs that really dug in and engaged with our growth professionals and really took advantage of all the tools and the yard signs and the flyers and everything they had to offer, those units saw significant growth. We had some units that just had amazing growth this year. So we know the tactics that they employed and the things that they employed really worked, which is awesome. So we want to expand that this year now that we've had a year of playing with the formula and looking at what they offer. So we're going to be pushing a lot more of that information out. So that was kind of one of the first success stories. The second thing I wanted to do this year is we're just now finishing up the membership plan. And in previous years, our membership plan has been drafted by the staff, the membership committee, voted on by the board, and pushed out. How many of you have seen the membership plan in the past for the council? Yeah, the professionals, I was hoping y'all would raise your hand. Why didn't all the professionals raise their hands? Well, that's going to change. This year with that membership plan, last year we set in a set of executables, specific items we wanted to get after in the membership plan. This year, we looked at it, we looked back out at what we did last year, and this year we decided we need to do something different. We needed to really identify who's getting after what executable. So in there, we've identified our stakeholders and what we expect them to deliver or what we hope they'll deliver in the membership plan. We have our council professionals. They're a key stakeholder in this, you know, and they're going to be, again, doing things like hosting the workshops, providing trainings, providing the resources, providing the tools, arranging access for schools where needed, organizing events, providing flyers, all that stuff that they did over this last year, they're going to continue to execute on. Then I looked at our commissioners. What are our commissioners' role in membership? Making sure we have healthy units, making sure our units understand. Thank you. Make sure our units understand where they can go to get tools, helping them develop SMART goals, helping them to be healthy and be engaged in membership. Then I looked at our board and our alumni group, and I put executables in for our board and our alumni group. I want to have some educator summits, some industry summits. I want to look at ways of lowering the cost of scouting. I put specific deliverables in there, which kind of brings me to my last set of, I'm sorry, so I got 5 stakeholders. I can't do math. Then there's the membership committee. Obviously, you know, we're looking at strategies. We're looking at ways, we're looking to identify new charter orgs. Where can we start packs? Working with the growth team, seeing where they need help. And then the last area that we've missed over all these years is you, the unit. Because what I realized this last year is that we, as a membership committee and professionals, can go out and recruit 3,000. We can get 3,000 names. We can get 3,000 kids. But if your unit's not ready to execute and welcome those youth in, we don't have a place for those youth to go, the plan's not going to succeed. We're not going to grow scouting. You, the unit leaders, and this is exactly what I told the charter org reps last week, are the most pivotal part of this council's membership plan, because you are the units that deliver the program to our youth. So what we're asking for you is when the membership plan's published, to get it, review it, look at it, and look at your part. Your part really hasn't changed. It's creating an environment that welcomes our youth and gets them involved in the program. We'd like you to do some specialized invite a friend scouting events, because we've learned from talking to units across the country that when the way a lot of councils are growing are not through doing cold calling recruiting, but a friend inviting a friend, a family inviting a family. That's how we're growing. Sharing your scouting story, getting out there and talking about what scouting does for you as a family with your friends. We're asking you to identify a membership chair, somebody that can come and be part of the membership committee, can get that information. I've already told your charter org reps if they didn't identify a membership chair, they were the membership chair. So you might have that kind of covered. But we really, really want to have y'all part of the team. We really need you. Let's just put it by. We need our units on board with the membership plan. So that'll be forthcoming here in the next few weeks. When we get the plan finalized, it will be pushed out to the charter org reps, and we'll make sure to get down to the key threes. But does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am. So I'll be honest with you, we haven't started those discussions yet. So the question is what have we done to start reducing the cost of scouting? I tell you, at this point, we've done nothing because we've just getting the plan onto paper. So we still have we have to roll up our sleeves, and we still have a lot of work to do. Sure. See, Linda, raise your hand. Awesome. See, got few folks connected. Yes, ma'am. So grants are something that we apply for and that we look for on a constant basis. We are always looking for those opportunities. There is no guarantee that grant will be available to us again this year. If it is available to us, you can believe we will be applying for it. We will be doing our best to secure that grant. But again, that's one of those things that that we're constantly seeking, constantly going after. Some years we're successful, some years we're not. A lot of that falls into the hands of who has the grant and how they're distributing the money. But yes, we are constantly going after grant money, and we're looking at how to be more robust on that and looking at other things too. Again, like I said, the finance side, the money side of that is not really my side of the house. I am not a money guy. We have other people smart on that stuff, but we will be looking at things like that. So the question was asking about grants and some of the grants that we had last year. Yes, Linda. Hey, Vivian. You want to come up here, or Jason, you want to come up here and join me? Because, so the question was, Ms. Dieguez asked what the statistics were for the retention on some of the youth that went through the grant programs that we had to offer. Yes.
Hi. Hi. So retention is something that we are really starting to focus on now, and we're excited about it. I keep running numbers and fun stuff like that. We did run the numbers on the grants, and they were not quite what we had hoped. We do have a retention rate for our, like I said, for the BSA, right about 80%. Like I said, the Cub Scouts about, I ran the AOL numbers today, and I think it was 52%. I'd love to see that number go up as crossovers occur. So please continue to encourage those Cub Scouts to move into those Scouts BSA units. Our grant numbers were, if I remember correctly, right around 30%. So unfortunately, that's saying that, yes, they were able to come in and experience some Cub Scouting, but they were not, or some scouting, but they were not sticking with the scouting. In fact, the retention rate was lower in Cub Scouts, unfortunately, than for Scouts BSA or the Cruise. We did have a few that took advantage of the grants for the Scouts BSA and Cruise, and those were more likely to stay. So we need to really, like you said, focus on those packs, focus on that retention, focus on getting those kids excited so that they stay with the program. So any questions about retention? Yeah. And I think that's one thing that we have to look at is how much can we offer to help while keeping the families engaged. The other thing you need to keep in mind is we do have opportunities with camperships for events and for our camps. And those types of events are what really help keep those youth excited about the program, help them advance, help them stay with it. So I would encourage you on our website. Where is it under, Linda? Is it under, it's under camps, right? So yeah, outdoor program. And it's not just for camps, it's for events too, correct? So if the, don't let that stop the adventure. So please, please, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Actually, so the $48 one, or I'm sorry, I was quoting for, we had a Bear County grant that started in September of 2023 and it ended in September 2024. So we were able to look at the re-registrations for those particular individuals and see that the $40 grant, that may not have been the correct price point because we only had 30% retention. We'll have a better idea about the other grant from this year after the year to see if they did indeed register again for another year. I don't have that information, unfortunately.
So yes. So yes, for families that are struggling with the, we do have the $48 program fee. If you go again on the council website, and I don't know exactly where it's under. forms on the right-hand corner. You will find a form on there to apply for a waiver of the $48 program fee. That at least brings it down to $85 minus Scout Life. So that form is out there. We have not had folks take advantage of that this year like they have done last year, but that is still very much out there and is still very viable. So if you've got families that have dropped off, please go out there and look on that form for that waiver. Yes, sir. So at this time, there isn't, but that is something that I'm working on. That is not just a challenge that we're having here. That is a challenge that we're having across the nation. And there isn't a defined strategy on how we recruit adults. Patrick and I had some conversations this weekend, and we're starting to brainstorm some ideas. It's not going to make it into this plan. As a matter of fact, it will probably be something that we roll out as a separate plan, because I think it is looking at that. Like I said, if you bring in 3,000 youth, and you don't bring any adults in to support that, and it's another round that you set yourself up for failure. So we don't have a plan as of yet. That is something that we're gonna have to look at, and it's really, it is a complicated thing, and we're not the only youth serving organization. Matter of fact, we're not the only volunteer-based organization out there that is struggling with getting adults off the bench and involved. But yeah, ours just went already. So it is something we're looking at, something we're going to be reaching out to folks and developing strategies. So, and now I'm getting it's time for Scott to get off the stage. So just one last thing. Remember, everybody is part of the membership team. You're always welcome to come out and join the membership team, but membership is everybody's responsibility. So Patrick, over to you.
Just a second. I'll get it. Sure. Thank you, Dave. All right. Good evening, everyone. Dave's warming up to be my slide clicker. Next time we need to put an X on the floor. All right. Just to introduce myself again, my name is Patrick Walther. I'm the Council Commissioner for the Alamo Area Council. And this evening, I'm here to talk to you about unit health. So in the last few weeks, we've rolled out some new tools in My Scouting to help us understand how healthy our units are. These are tools that are going to be used by the commissioners to understand where we've got units that need help, units that need attention. But these are metrics that are also available to you as unit leaders to understand how we're looking at your units and to know what tools are available to you. So, Dave. All right, so there's a couple metrics that we're going to talk about today. These are the ones we're focusing in on. First is training, right? Every scout deserves a trained leader, and we want to make sure that within our units, at least the committee chair and our unit leader are fully trained for the positions they're registered in. Unit size. It's really hard to put on a program with a small unit. So we're looking for packs to have at least 20 scouts, Scouts BSA troops to have at least 12 scouts, and older youth programs to have at least 7 scouts. Growth. We're really just looking for a very simple metric on growth. Is your unit 1 scout bigger than it was last year? It's not a percentage growth metric. We're not setting an expectation on how many scouts. It's 1. We want your unit to be at least 1 scout bigger than it was last year. Advancement in leadership, right? We know that becoming an Eagle Scout is not the only goal of scouting. It is not even the primary goal of scouting, but advancement is a way that we put on the program, and it's a good way for us to measure how healthy a unit program is. And so in this case, we're looking for at least 30% of Cub Scouts or Scouts in the Scouts BSA troop to have advanced in the last year. For Sea Scouts, 20%. And crews and posts, we look at it a little differently. We just want to make sure they're led by youth officers elected and trained. And then finally, outdoor activity, right? Who here has been to summer camp? Right. Who here has great stories about summer camp? Right? We know that a scout that goes to summer camp is far more likely to stay in the program. So making sure that our units are participating in some sort of long-term camping outdoor activity, whether it's day camp, summer camp, high adventure, whatever, fall camp, winter camp, whatever it may be, but creating those opportunities for our scouts. All right, so let's talk about training. We're actually doing really well as a council on training. Over 90% of our units, the committee chair, the unit leader are trained, and that means not just position-specific training, but of course YPT, hazardous weather, things like that. Doing great on training. Please keep up the good work. We really appreciate it. All right, unit size. Numbers aren't quite as good here. Only about half the units in our council meet those size requirements that we talked about earlier. And remember, we're not talking about huge units, 50, 60, 70 scouts. We're talking about 20 scouts in a pack, 12 scouts in a troop, 7 scouts in an older youth program. So half of our units aren't meeting those numbers. And that makes us nervous because with units that small, it's hard to put on a good program. If we can't put on a good program, it's hard to retain youth. And then Scott has to talk to you again about retention. And nobody wants that. All right. As compelling as Scott is. So unit size is a component of putting on a great program. And so we're going to be helping out units that are struggling with size. And size is a direct function of growth. There we go. So Scott already talked about, we shrunk as a council from 2023, end of 23 to the end of 24 by a couple percentage points. It was not one particular group. It was not one particular program. It was not even one part of town. About half our units are smaller right now than they were last year. And remember, we're talking about one scout bigger. That's the metric. Not 10%, not 20%, literally one. If you have one more scout registered in your unit than you did last year, you pass this metric, and half of our units aren't hitting that. Why is growth important? Because membership solves all of our problems, right? The more members we have, the more money we bring in fees, which means we got more money to put on programs. The more members we have, maybe we can have conversations about those fees going down because we've got sufficient revenue. The more members we have, the more popcorn we're selling, which again is more revenue. But most importantly, the more members we have, the healthier your program is. They're making friends. They're making friends for life, right? They're in healthy patrols. You're teaching and using the patrol method. You're having raucous pack meetings where kids are bouncing all over the place because there's 40 of them and they're all excited about all the awards and all the advancements that they're getting. Those are the things that keep people in the program. Growing is a huge part of this. Now, I know there are some of you out there that have packs and troops with 70, 80, 90 kids, and you're looking at me going, Patrick, I can't grow 10%. I'm barely sane as it is. And that's fine. But what are you doing to help the unit that only has 12 kids? Are you helping them put on recruiting events? Are you teaching them how to recruit, right? If you're a big troop and you're next to a small pack, are you putting den chiefs in that pack to make sure they're putting on a good program to attract more scouts, right? Growth and membership is everybody's business. Next slide. And if we could all just recruit like the Sea Scouts, holy cow, right? The Sea Scouts, our ships do a great job of recruiting. This is a City Council District 7 event at Woodlawn Lake last year. They took out kayaks. They took out a sailboat. They taught people how to make life-saving devices out of pool noodles. They put on a rain gutter regatta. 3 tents, tons of space, tons of visibility, right? If you want to grow your units, get visible in the community. If you're waiting for the $100 million advertising program from National, it ain't coming. The best way to make sure people know about Scouts is to be visible in your community. Yes, sir, Mr. Jones. Speaking of being visible, all right. For those of you on For those of you on Zoom who can't hear Scott yelling, although I think that'd be surprising. All right. On April 12th at Fort Sam Houston, they are doing an open house. We will have a scouting booth there to encourage people to sign up. But you know what? This would also be a great event for you to bring your units out to in uniform. First of all, to check out all the cool stuff they're going to have, but also to encourage others to participate in scouting. All right, next slide. Advancement. We're actually doing pretty good from an advancement perspective. More than 2/3 of our units are meeting the advancement requirements, and that's great, right? Because when kids feel like they're earning ranks, when scouts see others earning ranks, it gets them motivated, it gets them excited. It's all part of putting on the program. So keep up the good work when it comes to advancement. The venture crew, it's not that they're doing a bad job, just to be clear. The reason we don't have data there is we don't track unit elections for venture crew in any of our systems. So we don't actually have this number to share. But based on our visits to crews, they're doing a good job making sure that their leaders are elected by the crew and trained. So we appreciate it. All right. Next. Outdoor activity. Okay, the metrics on this look terrible, and so I'm not going to share it with you. And the reason they look terrible is because we've just now are starting to gather that information, because it's up to you as units in Scout Book Plus to flag an activity as your super outdoor activity. And there's a way to do that, and Justin did send me a screenshot before the meeting that I forgot to put in the presentation. But your commissioners will be talking to you about how you flag those activities in Scout Book so that we know that your unit has an outdoor activity plan. But we got some really cool statistics to share with you for 2024. 1,249 scouts attended a long-term camp, whether it was summer camp, winter camp, high adventure, whatever it may be. We had a lot of scouts participating in camp. They also took along 575 adults who I'm guessing had a pretty good time, but will never admit it in front of their scouts. And we had a member of the Alamo Area Council at every single high adventure base last summer. So nice job. All right. Now, all this stuff that I covered with you, this is not information that just the commissioners have access to. If you log into My Scouting, this just rolled out in the last 2 weeks. If you haven't logged in the last 2 weeks, you haven't seen it. In My Scouting, in your unit dashboard, you can see how you're doing with each of these metrics. Ignore the retention number. It's all screwed up right now. Vivian opened a ticket. She's going to get it fixed for us. She opened 2 tickets. She's going to get it fixed for us. But right now, you can see how your unit health metrics in your unit dashboard. So when your commissioner comes to visit you and talk to you about how they can help, they're going to have this information. You're going to have this information. So you guys can have a great conversation about how commissioners can be the single best resource for you. And speaking of that, in case you don't have my contact information, there it is. Although it's on every email I send out. So somebody's got it if you don't have it. And we are here to help. So please let us know how we can help. All right. I'm not going to take questions right at this moment to keep things moving along. We're trying to save the last 20 minutes or so of the meeting for questions. So I'm going to bring Mr. Ryan Harris up here to give us an update on the Bear Creek Committee and that property.
Thanks, Patrick. It's for me? For me? Wow. All right. Hi, I'm Ryan Harris. I am a assistant council commissioner and work for Patrick. But for the last 8 months or so, I've been leading up a committee focused on one of our premier properties in Alamo Area Council, Bear Creek. I'm sure most of you in the room know where Bear Creek is, and the awesome property that it provides to the scouts. We have obviously been working on a lot of the infrastructure, and building out a plan for the improvements of the infrastructure out there. We have replaced we've actually started doing some work out there. We've replaced the sewer line off of the Rickenbacker side down to the handicrafts area before we had a ecological awesomeness happen out there. So we are working on that. We have built out a comprehensive list of things that need to happen from repairing of the roads, fixing electrical, fixing the water lines, and the wells, doing maintenance. We also have a very long list of improvements that we want to do. And so I've got a very dedicated group of folks that are pulling together that list and helping me to kind of general contractor that activity. We have units that have signed up to come out camp. It's a very busy spring season out there. We in fact in a couple of weeks we'll have 6 units out there camping, and so things are picking up. How you can help from a project perspective out there, like I said, we've got a good list of projects that can be done in campsites, that can be done around the program area, and those kinds of things. If your unit has skilled labor, we'd love to have you come out. We will have a laundry list of projects that you can pick from, and they are all pretty much designed so that you can complete them from beginning to end within that weekend, because we don't want to leave any project undone or halfway done, and so that's kind of our goals from a unit perspective. If you have people that are in your unit that are skilled labor and want to provide some of that gift to the council, we can certainly have those conversations and start to talk about some of the bigger projects that need to get done. But then we are really focused on making sure that we are doing things in a controlled manner, and something that is sustainable over a period of time for Bear Creek. We want this to be a 30-year, 40-year project improvement as we work on this 3 to 5 year plan. So we are really looking for folks that are willing to put in their time, give their gift of skills, and be able to do that. If you have any questions around the project list that we have, I'm happy to share that out with everybody, with anybody that has interest in understanding what we're doing out there. So that's kind of from an infrastructure perspective and the property itself. I also have folks that on the committee that are working on, I have a guy from a friend of mine, former adult leader in Troop 361, who is a employee of the Texas State Park Wildlife, and he is helping to build out a conservation plan for that property. And so part of that is we're going to go out there and do a wildlife survey. We'll do a golden cheek warbler survey, and the intent of that is for us to make sure that we are doing things in a very conservation-minded way, and building out a long-term plan for that property. So we want to be able to do, we all know that the cedar is overgrown out there. We want to be able to clear that cedar in a responsible way. We want to not cause erosion problems or further erosion problems. We also want to make sure that we're not endangering the wildlife out there. And we want to make sure that we are growing the wildlife so that when scouts are out there, they're able to view, they're able to see, they're able to, and really just have a land management aspect to all of this. I have folks that are working on marketing plans so that we can go around and sell the importance of the property to the scouting movement, to scouting in Alamo area and beyond. Also looking at ways that we can market the property around other councils as well, to bring them in to things like Jim Causey's Bear Creek Adventure, making sure that Sam Houston, Capital Area, Longhorn, all the councils around us can take advantage of the unique property attributes that we have out there, and help them train for Philmont or whatever. And then lastly, it'll come to me. Marketing, conservation, infrastructure. Oh, funding. Yeah, fundraising. I also have somebody that is working closely with the council professionals to make sure that we are building out a fundraising plan, because all of the work that we have is going to cost, several hundreds of thousands of dollars when we start to think about the roads, the electrical, the plumbing, and all of those kinds of things. We are going to need some significant funds for that. If you are interested, you can write your check out to Ryan Harrison. I'll make sure that it gets there. It won't be any problem. I'm trustworthy. I'm wearing the uniform. It'll be all right. In all seriousness, we are working on that development plan, if you will, for the properties. All that to be said, what we are also trying to do, I'm working with Brian Samkin, who is the properties chair on the board, and what we're basically doing is building out a roadmap that can also be done, can be repeated for McGimpsey and for Mays, because we all know that our properties here are, need the love and care and the same upkeep and long-term strategic planning around this to make sure that the properties that our scouts use, that our units use, are kept up and are functioning throughout for the entire season. So that's that's pretty much the update that I wanted to provide. Yes, real quick. Please come camping. Absolutely. Yes. So we do seasonally close down Bear Creek during the winter times to protect it from the freezes. And some of our long-term plans when we get into the plumbing and the electrical work that we want to get done is to make it in such a way that, or repair it in such a way that we are seasonal agnostic, where we don't have to shut down the camp every winter. But right now, the spring, summer, and fall, Bear Creek is open. Calendar is updated. Please go out and use that camp, and it's a great experience. Bathrooms are working, 100%. Everything is good. All right, Linda, would you please come up and take the mic from me so I can sit down? Please take the mic from me.
Hi, everybody. So when I gave this presentation thank you, Dave. When I gave this presentation in December, it took me an hour. So I promised Patrick I would try to keep it down as short as possible. So I'm going to tell you what we're doing in the summer for summer camp. Next slide, please. This is, oh, that's really small, isn't it? All right. So this is what we're doing this summer for summer camp. We are running 9 weeks of summer camp right here at McGimpsey Scout Park. We also have 2 other locations that we're running our Cub Scout Day camps at. I'm going to get into those details in just a minute. Next slide. All right, the first camp we're going to run is June 4th through the 7th. It is for your bears and webelos. That's your bears and webelos now, who will be your webelos and Arrow of Lights in the fall. It is our Akela camp. It is an introduction to long-term resident camp for your webelos that will be crossing over next year or in 2 years into Scouts BSA. It is a resident camp. That means they're camping here, okay? I'm going to tell you these details, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them afterwards so that we can get through this presentation. All right, next slide. All right, this year we are running a ranger camp. We're calling it ranger camp because it is what we have always done traditionally in the Alamo Area Council for our first year campers. But we've changed it. We've made it, I dare say, better, but we'll see. We'll see. What we used to do is we used to take all the 100 scouts, the first year campers that would go out to summer camp, and we would throw 4 staff members at them, and we would say, put them through all of these requirements, get them as far as you can, and we'll see how they do at the end of the week, right? And you guys were supposed to pay attention to them and see what you checked off on. Well, we also found out that that was not really always the best example of what we should be doing. So we have revamped that program. We've added a few things to it. We are going to give them more requirements. We are going to give them 3 merit badges, but we're going to run it like NYLT. So it is going to be taught in a small group session as a troop with patrols and 2 troop guides. So that's how we're running it this year. And you can see everything that's up there that they're going to earn. For the merit badges, if they can pass the swimmer's test, they are going to get their swimming merit badge. They're going to get their first aid merit badge, and they're going to get a handicrafts. So we've added 3 merit badges instead. Also their totem chip and firemanship, all that stuff is up there. And if you have any questions, we do have provisional scout leaders for this one. So you can send your girls or your young men and they can be in a provisional scout troop if you can't attend that with them as a leader. All right, so this is for your brand new Webelos, right? Brand new Arrow of Lights that just crossed into your troops that you've just accepted in between the months of January and February and May, who need a first year program. Please, please, please send them to us. It is going to be the best first year camper program, period. There's not another camp that's going to match this one. I can tell you that. Roger. Thank you for that. Thank you. All right, next slide, please. So our request was that, yes, you might be wanting to send your first year campers, but you may also have some older scouts that want to attend a camp here who may not be able to attend your camp where you're going for summer camp, or maybe you just want to come here instead. So we developed some smaller versions that can run simultaneously here at Majimsey at the same time. So we're running a BSA aquatics camp, which is being put together by Tim Donovan, our aquatics chair. And it is focused on that outdoor aquatics award that you have to spend like 50 hours on the water doing all sorts of different things. He's working towards that. If you're 15 years or older, you are going to earn your Red Cross lifeguard. So, and it's up to 30 kids can attend that one. And then all those other things are things that they're going to be working towards as well. They are also going to be taught how to teach these things. So it's a leadership camp. It is designed to be a leadership camp. These guys are going to be the ones that teach the swimming merit badge to the ranger camp, and also provide lifeguards for them throughout the week. We're going to run our cope and climbing program. We brought that down from Bear Creek. We're going to run it exactly like it was up at Bear Creek. We're going to run it here. That's why we're putting so much effort. Thank you to the OA for the big donation that they gave us to be able to support working on our cope program out here. So we are bringing our cope course back. And so we're going to run a cope and climbing program. It's going to be, I believe it's climbing in the morning, cope in the afternoon. Okay. And that's for 10 to 12 participants. So any of your kids who are 13 to 14 years or older can attend that program. And then, of course, we have a high adventure preparation camp. We're looking for a small group program here. That's going to teach them a lot of what they would need to know in order to go to any high adventure base, not just Philmont necessarily, but we are going to focus on hiking. We're going to do some biking. We can leave the property. As much as everybody is afraid to leave the property, you can leave the property. We're going to leave the property and come back. So we're going to include wilderness remote first aid in that one and CPR AD. So they will get some training as well and some other things along with that. We're looking for a small group of scouts to attend that one. So those are our resident camps. Those are all going to run at the same time here at Majimsey from June 8th through the 14th. All 1 week. Leadership can come. Your kids can be signed up in all different programs at the same time, and you're out here watching them have a great time. Yes. For climbing, 13, 14. Okay. So it's 13 and graduated the 8th grade, or 14 and older. Okay. Next slide. All right. We're going to go into Cub Scout Day Camp. So 9 weeks, right? We're running these right through. So it's Akela, Ranger. Now we're going into Cub Scout Day Camp. We're going to run 2 weeks of Cub Scout Day Camp here at Majimsey. But before that, we are moving to a new location. Our new Braunfels camp is going to move to Shirts this year. So we are at Pickerel Park in Shirts. Fabulous new news. We have a pool. We have a covered pavilion with an ice machine, all sorts of stuff there. So it is a really great location. We're very, very excited to be in this location. That one is going to be June 2nd through the 5th. We are doing 4 full days this time. Last couple of years, we have started at 12. We have started at 12 to allow our leaders to get in there and set up the camp beforehand because they couldn't get into the camp on Sundays. That's not going to be the same thing this year. We can get in there and start our camp at 8:30 like we're supposed to in the morning. So it's going to be 4 full days of Cub Scout day camp out at Pickerel Park. We also have our Bernie camp, which is going to be at the Agricultural Museum. That one is June 24th through the 26th. That is Tuesday through Thursday. That's a shift we made this year to the Tuesday through Thursday so that they can swim every day, because we learned that on Monday the pool was closed. So now we do Tuesday through Thursday. They swim every day. They get picked up at the pool. Our theme is outdoor adventures. We're going to do daily themes. So they're all listed up here. And many of you guys have seen this before. And if you haven't, we're going to share it with you as well. So questions? No? Moving on. Good. Next slide. Majimsey Scout Park, 16th through the 20th and 23rd through the 27th. Difference between Majimsey, Bernie, and Pickerel Park, thank you, is that at Pickerel Park and at Bernie, you have to provide your leadership, your 1-to-5 ratio, right? You still have to provide your den walkers with your kids that come. At Majimsey, we provide the staff. You don't have to provide any leadership. We would love to have your leadership come out and join us if they want to come out and have a great time, but they are not required. And I'm going to tell you right now that we are 1 position away from being fully staffed this summer. 1 position. So we already have 15 den walkers. We've never had 15 den walkers before. So we're really, really, really excited about this. And that means, by the way, that you can do the math, 15 times 10, we can have 150 kids in that camp. Please give me 150 kids in each week. I would love it. Please, please, please. Okay. Yeah, so same theme. It is the outdoor adventures. We're going to change our theme each week. So they will be different weeks, right? Between the first week and the second week, we are changing our what we're doing each day. Of course, we can't change aquatics or shooting sports. They're going to earn the same thing at those locations, right? But all of our crafts and things like that will change. So they are not the same thing the first week as the second week. And we've done something different this year, and that is that you can register for both weeks this year. It's $225 for the early bird fee for 1 week. It's $400 for 2 weeks. So if you sign up for both weeks, doesn't matter when you sign up, you sign up for both weeks, you can get them both for $400, okay? And that is why our registration system looks really chaotic right now online, and it's gonna stay that way. It's all one registration. So you have to go in and select which week you're attending or if you're attending both. So it's all one registration for Majimsey Cub Scout Day Camp, okay? I'm curious to know, if you can raise your hands for me, how many Cub Scout leaders do I have in this room? Thank you. How many Scouts BSA leaders do I have? All right. Venturing? Sea Scouts? I see my Explorer back there. All right. And others. How many others do I have? I know, right? Okay. Next slide, please. All right. We are doing something different this year. We've always talked about trying to offer camps all summer long and seeing how we could do it so that you guys had the option to send your kids to us if you want to, right? You're always looking for something to put your kids into. So now we've done our scout camps. We've done our Webelos resident camp. We've done our Scouts BSA resident camp. We've done our Cub Scout day camps. We've designed an all ages day camp. Next slide, please. The way this one is going to run is a little bit different. So this is ages 7 to 17, okay? 10 kids in a class, 4 to 10 kids in a class. That's all it's going to be, one instructor. We are working towards using mainly our air-conditioned classrooms, though some of them are going to be these. And the reason is we get a lot of feedback that's like, in July, we don't want our kids in the heat. It's too hot. They're dying all day long. So we're going to put them in the classrooms. We're going to let them stay in there, and then we're going to put them outside for a little bit and bring them back in. So we've chosen things that we think that they're going to have a great time with, right? Based on surveys that we've sent out that you've seen. We're doing camps on Dungeons and Dragons, card games, and that means like your Magic the Gathering card games, your Yu-Gi-Oh cards, those kind of things that your kids are loving to play right now. They can come here and sit all week long and play with kids their own age under our supervision and with our guidance and our time. And we've got instructors who are dying to teach your kids how to play Dungeons and Dragons. Every staff member I own wanted that position. Every single one was like, can I please, please, please teach Dungeons and Dragons? All right, we're doing 3D printing. We're doing robotics. We're doing, our robotics is the VEX system. So it's the Vex robotic system that we're working with. So that is your BattleBots program. So they're going to spend the week building their robots. They're going to code them on Thursday, and on Friday they're going to destroy them, right? That's right. We're doing coding and programming as well. So that's an introductory course. That's one day they're going to do Python. One day they're going to do the next one, C++ or plus. I don't even know these things, but all these kids do, by the way. Animation, we're doing animation, handicrafts, cope and climbing. We're doing the Paul Bunyan and Pioneering Award. They've got 5 days out here with us. They can do everything for the pioneering and take their time and actually lash and tie the knots and learn the things that they're supposed to learn, put in the service hours and actually earn that Paul Bunyan Award the way they're supposed to. We are doing range and target activities. We've got 1 week. And we're doing game design. We are using Minecraft for game design. We have our computers donated to us. We already have Minecraft donated to us. So we've got that one already put together. And so they're going to spend the week, right, working in Minecraft to design certain things in there that they will share then with their classmates. And then when they leave on Friday, we're going to give them a little thumb drive where they can download all the stuff that they've learned. They can take it home and put it into their stuff, right? So we keep our programs, but they get to take the stuff that they've learned. We're doing graphic arts. Our graphic arts is going to partner with Documation right down the road here. So for our 7 to 10-year-olds who are not working on a merit badge, right? They're going to go over, they're going to get a tour, they're going to learn everything they can do. They're going to come back and they're going to play with design stuff. For our 11 to 17-year-olds, when we do their class, they're going to go over, they're going to get a tour, they're going to come back, they're going to work on all their design stuff. They're going to go back over and they're going to have their thing created right there at Documation. They can do t-shirts. They're going to do t-shirts, by the way, but they can do t-shirts, they can do printing, they can do everything over there. So we've got that one. And then, of course, we've got a week where we're going to run lifeguard certification again. So if you don't make the aquatics camp and you want your kids to get lifeguard certified, please come that way. Next slide. This one is 8:30 to 5. Like I said, 7 to 17. We've broken it up so it's 7 to 10-year-olds and 11 to 17-year-olds. That's how it's going to be grouped. And then your class size is 4 to 10 participants. That's it. Small group. 8 classes at a time. That's 8 to 86 kids in a camp, right? That's all I want. We are using the council classrooms up there. We're using the dining hall. We're using the sports pavilion classroom. We're using the Majimsey classroom. We're using the OA building, all those different areas. And then, of course, our handicrafts week, which is we've got the kiln down here, which is going to be doing pottery and sculpture, and all of those different merit badges in those classes are going to be able to do it in the sports pavilion. If they're 7 to 10, their class is going to be designed off of the merit badge, but they won't be earning a merit badge, right? But they're going to be able to be introduced to the same things. And then if they're Scouts BSA, they're going to work towards those merit badges on every one of them. Lunch is provided. It is built into the program that we are going to go to a different restaurant each day, and we will go to Chick-fil-A and get a box for them, and they will come in and they will actually get a Chick-fil-A lunch one day. They will get a Jason's Deli lunch the next day. They will get something like that. That way we don't have to worry about the dietary restrictions that are out there. You will get a menu sent to you that you will get to select what they need to pick from for that week, and that's what they get for lunch. Questions? They will have an outdoor activity every day. Maybe the pool, maybe the ranges, maybe cope, maybe climbing, maybe whatever we can throw in there. But they will have an outdoor activity every single day. All right, next slide. The last thing is, I would be remiss if I did not mention that we are going to we are going to do again our fall camp this year. So the week of Thanksgiving, please mark it on your calendars. If you're looking for a traditional merit badge camp in the Alamo Area Council, this is it. Now, we changed up our merit badges last year. We did welding. We did, toss them out. I'm going to forget them all right now. But we did electricity. We did plumbing. We did some crazy ones. Rifle. Yeah, we did rifle. Oh, we do have a donor who is purchasing our air rifles so that we can run the rifle merit badge here at Majimsey. So, and if you read the merit badge book, we are able to do it with the air rifles. So that is happening. All right. Next slide. I'm good. Okay, with that, yes. With that, it's my honor to introduce our council president, Mr. Jim Montgomery.
And I can't talk as fast or dance like that. So before I get started, you probably all gotten emails but I want to announce to you that Michael De Los Santos has officially retired. And I want to publicly thank him. He was with the Scouts for 31 years. He was with us for 13 years. And I can guarantee you that 3 of those were the worst our movement has seen in a long time. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I'd just like to publicly acknowledge that, you know, it's a tough job and he did a great job. And with family that he's got to deal with, he's got both sets of parents that have gotten sick, and he's both his and his wife's. So you get the opportunity to say thank you to him. So I'm the president of the council. That's like being the chairman of the board, and I am the finance guy. Okay? Somebody used that earlier. And I want to talk to you about that a little bit. In fact, let's talk about treasure for just a second. And I mean real treasure, the kind that actually transforms lives. Since 2021, you and our other donors have donated, and I'm sorry, can't do this all off the top of my head, $1.7 million a year. So add that up, that is $6.8 million. We get that $1.7 million coming in every single year. Now, parts of that are grants, parts of it are our endowment, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I want you to get some feeling for some of the numbers that we deal with. And I'm going to come back to the numbers in a little bit, but that's a tremendous amount of money. And we're going to have to increase that some. But let's talk about the other part of treasure. That's time. And as I look around the room, I'm about to laugh as I say this, but you know, all of our volunteers, and we have over 2,000 of them, put in 2 hours a week. I thought that might get it. I can tell you that's not true. And in fact, I'm late tonight because my clone didn't show up today. So I had to be at another meeting and then rush to get over here. But think about that for a second. If it's 2,000 and they each put in 2 hours, okay, how many 100,000 hours is that a year? And let's just assume we were all being paid $20 an hour. And probably most of you in here make a little bit more than $20 an hour. I hope you do. But when you multiply that out, and we're only doing 2 hours a week, that's over $8 million a year just in time that gets donated. So we're talking a lot of treasure, and we're talking about a lot of time. And just for a second, thank you. You know, this is what makes it happen. And let's talk about a little bit about the why for that. And I'm going to read this because it's really important. The Alamo Area Council exists to transform every single eligible young person, boys and girls, in our entire area. That's 13 counties. We run from Kerrville to Cotulla, over to Wilson County and Comal and back around. But we make them something extraordinary. And I know as you leaders, you watch this from the young one that becomes an arrow of light, or the one that started as a tenderfoot and leaves even as a first class because they have to speak in front of everybody. I've certainly watched that. But it's also, we create the responsible citizens of the future who are guided by the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. And it's an extremely important job that we have. And it's not supposed to be limited to just the ones we got right now, because there are a whole lot of other ones that are out there waiting for us. Now, we're no longer just about teaching camping skills and how to tie knots. I had a discussion the other night with someone, and we were talking about where you get your life skills. The personal finance merit badge. I mean, think about it. Where else do you learn to balance checkbook? Unless mom and dad told you. You know, these are the basic life skills that every young person needs to be exposed to. And we've got to find a way to make that happen because they're not going to get it someplace else. You know, we are literally creating leaders in a world of followers. Think about that for a second. Think about what we're watching on TV for 99 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't care which political party you're in. It doesn't matter. You know, what if they all had to have the scout oath and the law and actually do business that way? You know, just a thought. So 115 years ago, Lord Baden-Powell had this wild, crazy idea. You know, we're going to take all of these young men and young women, and if you don't believe me, go back and read his original letters. That's exactly what he had in mind. And it was, you don't just teach skills to men, you also teach them to women. So when you ever get that argument, just remember, it's only 115 years old. It's not yesterday, okay? But think about that. This crazy idea has been going on for 115 years. And it's really important that we continue that, not just to survive, but to grow it dramatically. Now, let's talk about some other numbers. And this may make you a little uncomfortable because I hope it does, because I can tell you I took office in February of last year. I've been real uncomfortable for quite a while. In 2018, we had 12,595 scouts, Cubs, scouts, venturers, explorers, okay? Today, we're down to 5,481. And half of those are scouts and half are Cubs. I'm not ignoring your explorers, et cetera. I'm just using the bigger numbers, okay? We're going to talk about exploring over the next year because back in the day when I was here, I grew up in this council. I grew up 6 blocks over this way. You know, we knew Marietta McGimsey back in the day. So all of these properties are really important to me. But the ugly truth is COVID hit us hard. The LDS leaving hit us hard. And when I say that, I don't mean that to knock the LDS. They created their own program, which they needed on a worldwide basis. And yeah, it hit us hard, but there was a reason for that. And it wasn't because our program was bad. And we still have a lot of LDS in the program today because they were in the habit of getting all of their young men. And I hope today young women get their eagles. And then there was the bankruptcy. So let's talk about that for a second. And we're going to talk about treasurer again. Our council had to put up $4,251,000 for that settlement. We didn't volunteer it. That was our amount that we were given. That came $2 million and change out of our endowment, and another $2 million because we sold the lake property that we had on the south side of town. We weren't using it. We bought it at a great deal, and luckily it was now worth $2 million. I'm sorry? $2 million for the total ended up being basically what we had. Now that sounds bad, but think about that for a second. If that $4 million was still in our endowment and we take out either 4% or 5% a year, that means it costs us $160,000 a year forever because we haven't been able to put that money back yet. So those are some hard numbers that we need to talk about. Now, we've also been spending more than we've been bringing in. And the board has taken action that that's not going to happen. You know, you can't do that at home. And if the government hadn't made us very well off through ERC and PPP and all that stuff, we'd have probably had a big problem 2 or 3 years ago. But We are balance the budget this year was passed in December. We're going to also be doing a lot of things to change the way we bring in money. So let's talk about that. Let's get a feeling for what that money is. We talked about the $1.7 million that comes in. We also bring in $2 million, much of it through your efforts. You realize that we sell almost $1.5 million in popcorn every year? Last year or the year before, we were able to return, or actually you kept $520,000 at the unit level. We also sell camp cards. You know, I'm supposed to remind you that CY is here tonight for the camp card program, and was brought up a little bit earlier, and I totally agree. Fees are too high. We're going to have to work on that. But if you sell 8 camp cards, did I have the number right? 20 camp cards, you will have covered that $48 in fees. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Why do you want your units to be in popcorn sales and camp card sales? Because we all know it's so easy. It just all happens by itself, right? Popcorn sells itself. No. But think about this. We take children in this world who at 2 years old are the best salespeople you've ever met. Think about it. The only word they know is no. And they wait until you say yes, because they'll always tell you no. But by 10 years old, they won't even knock on the door. And they'll probably be hiding behind somebody because they're afraid to go ask for something. We're talking about some of the best sales training in the world. I wish salespeople that worked for me had been scouts when they were young, because we ended up having to teach them how to do that. And it's a whole lot harder when you're 23 years old, I guarantee you. So think about that. That's what this is all about. It's not just about money. Of course, the money doesn't hurt anything, and it does help with the expenses, because the more popcorn that gets sold, the more camp cards that get sold, the more money is available. And it's created a rather interesting problem for our summer camps. Our units have enough money to go someplace else. Camp Alexander, Colorado, it's nice, cool. I disappear for 6 weeks during the summer too. You know, but that's the reality of life. Now, having said it's really hot out there, it's really hot all over South Texas. The problem is we don't live outside anymore. And I'll come back to Bear Creek in just a little bit. The $150, because that's what it is when you add it up. It's the $85, and I've rounded it, but the camp fee. Now, we used to come around to all of your units and send our professionals out who are unfortunately not trained in fundraising, and they shouldn't be, to come and ask all of your parents to write a check in the Friends of Scouting program. And I know you all loved that, and it was so appreciated that we decided to stop that and have the fee instead. And it actually works out. It's about the same number as what was donated earlier on when you look at the numbers in the finances. Speaking of finances, if you've ever tried to read the financial statements for a nonprofit, not just us, and figure out what the bottom line was, good luck. It's taken me 6 months just to be able to ask the right questions as to what they are. Yeah. But another thought, here's one way to pay for it, but think about this for a second when you say it's too expensive. How much do you guys pay for Netflix? All the other little subscriptions you got? How many of you have been to Starbucks lately? I don't usually go into Starbucks, but I did go in the other day just because I was stopped and I wanted to go in and, you know, okay, I like Java chips, okay? I spent $5 without even blinking an eye, and that didn't even cover the actual cost of it. So think about that. $12.50 a month. And yes, we've got to get to where you can pay it that way. You know, we're trying to train National how to run their computers. It just hasn't worked yet, okay? But $12.50 a month is not that high for what we're doing. Okay, I put 2 daughters through volleyball. I paid for college. I really did. It just came back in a check later on at the school. So think about that when somebody says it's too much. Now, I agree with you. When you have 3 or 4 kids in it, we got to work on that. We got to figure out a way. How do we handle that? Whether it's through grants, whether it's through, we just have a graduated, I don't know whether we should do that. The more kids you have, the less it, never mind. Okay. But think about that. 2 ways there. Sell stuff. Just think about what the cost is. And if you really have people, because we don't want to lose, I've had 2 or 3 scoutmasters tell me they've lost families who had 3 or 4 kids because they didn't have enough money. Well, in today's world, that's a phone call to council because we'll help with that. That's what we're here for. We're going to talk about communication a little bit, but as you can get, I'm getting to, there are going to be some big changes as to how we do business. And we need to talk about that a lot. And I'm sorry, we're probably going to run out of time, so I've got to go faster here. We're going to change marketing, okay? We market through schools. When was the last time any of you, even if you were a parent, tried to get into a school? Okay, yeah. And how long did it take? No, don't do that. So think about this. We can't continue to try to market just through the schools. We need to talk to the parents. We're dealing with parents who are now on the 2nd generation, perhaps, of not even knowing what scouting is. So we've got to be more visible. We've got to be out there. We do service projects. I always talk to scoutmasters and say, you want to know the principal at your school? At least 3 times a year, tell them you're coming through just like a campsite and you're going to pick up all the trash outside at the school that they have to pay somebody to do regularly. I guarantee you're going to be on speed dial because as soon as they have to get it cleaned again, they're going to call. But think about this. My Rotary Club, and I know a lot of you else do the same kinds of things, we sell toys, and I say it that way on purpose, in November for the kids that are going to be in the hospital over Christmas. Toy drives. Okay? Now, you have a hard time getting out in front of H-E-B or Target or whatever to get permission to go sell popcorn. But I guarantee you, if you sell out their toy aisle 3 times in a day the way we do at the Rotary Club, they will let you stand out there in your scout uniforms and sell all day long. And you're being visible. And that's what we've not been for a long time. We need to find those service projects. So we're going to try and find a coordinator to do service projects so that we can send out notice. You can participate. I mean, think about it. In the old days, there used to be a paper bag in the newspaper. Okay, now we're talking old days. And a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout came to your front door and picked it up a week later, laden with canned goods, peanut butter, whatever, just like was done. We had 405 scouts out here this weekend. I don't remember how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were made, but all the donations that were made. It's all over Facebook, so you can see it. Speaking of Facebook, when you see a scout post on Facebook, if we want to get it out to other than us, it's called the share button. It's not the like button. Share it, because then it goes out to all of your contacts. And you'll be amazed how many of your contacts will then turn around and share it. Sometimes it takes too long to read notifications in the morning, but that's what causes that. But please do that. Think about it as you go. Membership. We live in one of the fastest growing regions in the United States. There's no reason for us to be shrinking. So we've got to find the ways to talk directly to the parents. I don't know whether it's going to be direct mail. We've talked about 9x12 postcards. Think about this for a second. Your scouts go out and sell 8 $600 ads on one side of a 9x12 to the plumber, the electrician, the people in the area that want to do business, to the 10,000 homes that you can send that for $4,800. And the other side is all about scouts. So that's one idea to be thinking about. If I toss those ideas out, people are going to hit me with about 10 others. So that's what I'm after. Okay. That's part of the communication that we want to have. You know, we now have girls to talk about the underserved population because we don't have nearly enough girls yet. But we have girls who went all the way through Girl Scouts, got their gold award. My wife did that. Okay. Well, now they've come over and they've got their Eagles. Now, I don't know about you, but if you take the Eagle application and you put it to the top when you're looking for job applicants, where do you put the Golden Eagle? You know, just makes sense. Just makes sense. Okay. So let's talk some more money now. We're going to have a capital campaign. We talked about Bear Creek. Let me repeat this so that everybody hears it. Bear Creek is not for sale. Okay? The board has voted, and unless you don't use it, okay, you know, hear what my next pitch is going to be, okay? Or we can't raise the funds that we need to support it because it costs us $200,000 a year to own a 1,000-acre ranch, okay? We got 3 great properties, but we could also call them vacation homes. And if you've ever owned a vacation home, you know what I'm talking about. They cost money, but they give great experiences and memories. Okay? Capital. We figure that we need to raise $300,000 plus per year for the next 3 years for Bear Creek. That'll give us over $1 million. It'll also underwrite greatly that $200,000 a year that it's going to take to keep it. Now, we also have over $100,000 a year that it takes for this wonderful property, 140 acres in Castle Hills. Okay. I'm going to skip over Bear Creek because we don't have that much time, but think about it. We have a 4-story rappelling wall. We have one of the best stretches of water that you can see even on the Guadalupe where we are. It was Eddie Rickenbacker's ranch. If you don't know who Eddie Rickenbacker was, go Google, because it's not just World War I. It's not just racing cars. It's not just president of Eastern Airlines and founder. In World War II, he spent 21 days in a lifeboat. I guess it's kind of embarrassing. Luckily, he wasn't the pilot, but they missed where they were supposed to land. And, you know, when you're out over the Pacific Ocean with no gas, that's what happens. Then we've got deferred maintenance here. And look around you. This building was built late 60s, early 70s. Still got Southwestern Bell on the outside. There is no insulation in any one of the walls that I've been able to find. But I want you to reimagine that as you sit here. There are no more fans. There are no more things hanging from the ceiling to keep us warm when it's cold. We're not going to fool with the fireplace. Okay, it's really cool. But glass windows on the front, okay, because we got a beautiful view out here. Good insulation. And I'm talking about the kind of insulation we used to have in our freezer plants. You know, kind of like a German home has been built in Texas for years. It stays cool even when it's really hot outside. And whenever we're building something at camps, we need to be thinking about that same thing. They don't have to be hot all the time. But we've got about $300,000 worth of repairs that need to be done here. We've got this building. We've got a pool that kids have to wear river shoes in. Okay. We had the pool company out this weekend for some of the bids. We're going to be doing bids. You're going to see us be doing business a little bit differently, though. Ryan was up here. You know, when the discussion began that somebody might think about selling Bear Creek, you responded. There are 50 people on the Bear Creek committee. We need to have a 50-person McGimsey committee, same way. It's you know, these are very valuable properties, and there is no other council that has a property like this one. People ask me all the time, how big is that place? And then they don't believe it, but it goes all the way back to the railroad tracks. So these are important things that we need to do. There are other renovations that need to be. Dave Ogden gave me the NCAP report the other day, and it's kind of lengthy. Okay. We haven't been doing maintenance on our properties. There will be a maintenance checklist put together for every property. It's already in the progress. We're going to get these things done. Okay. And when you see something that needs to be repaired, don't go, oh gosh, they're not repairing. Let us know, because we need the eyes. For example, we have a hunting lease up at Bear Creek, and I know everybody wants to say how bad it is that we have the hunters. Okay. Occasionally we do have issues that we've worked on, but we have also gotten the hunters to say, hey, we're opening it up so there are more dates on the calendar. Use them, because it will be embarrassing if we ask them to open up those dates and nobody goes up to camp. Okay. But they're also the eyes that we don't have. There's only one ranger on 1,000-acre ranch, and that's just not enough. I mean, at the patio ranch next door, they got five full-time employees. I met with them the other day, and you know, they expect us to be good neighbors, and we expect them to be good neighbors, and we need to be. We share the same watershed. We say, you know, conservation easement may be in our future up there. There are all kinds of things to look at. It's not a bad story at all. You know, we still have our endowment. It's got almost $11 million, maybe a little bit more than that. And it averages 4%. This year we're taking out 5% because we got to make up for the settlement that we did. So, but those are big things, but there's no reason why we can't build our endowment also. But you add all those numbers up, as I went through them really quickly, you know, it runs out to about $580,000 that we need to raise each year for the next 3 years. And I can announce to you, we've already got a $250,000 gift that's been made that we're hoping we'll be using here. And I've also had a number of people volunteering to be on the fundraising committee, including a few stock show people. And if you don't think they know how to raise money, I got news for you. But those are what we're working on. We also want to work on communication. We're going to have a Scoutmaster Council. We're going to have a Cub Master Council so that we have an opportunity to talk and you're able to raise questions with us. We've had a lot of communication going this way, a lot of planning going this way. You're the customer. We're not. We're here to help you. We need your ideas on what do we want scouting to look like 5 years from now? What do we want camp to look like? You know, are we going to have drone races out here? Are we going to have the big monster truck remote control thing out in the back end? Maybe we'll have a soccer field out in the back end. I don't know. I do know that we're working right now on having a much better archery range and having a separate one that would be for scouts that have the more powerful bows and can do some of that sort of thing, and maybe even be able to have archery lessons. Do you know they have competitive archery in high school and college now? So there are reasons to do all of that. But I don't even know. Obviously, I've already ruined your time to ask questions. It was not intentional. It was not intentional. But we want to get that communication open. And I've also, Tripp has already agreed to help me. You have a PLC or similar at the scout level in every troop, and they plan. They're the ones that are supposed to do it, okay? We need to get them involved also on the council calendar. And we're going to try and get one set up that will meet. I don't know. He's up to that. We'll figure that out. But we want to have one person from various troops. We want to have a representative from the Order of the Arrow, not for the Order, but to have that same input as to how the Order of the Arrow affect all of this sort of thing. I've asked the Order of the Arrow also to get some senior scouts together. You know, we're in the conservation business. That's what we do. Okay. So I don't know how that phrasing goes. Explain me this or however it goes. We have a system at Bear Creek where we now flush toilets. Okay. Now, first of all, if you haven't paid any attention in the public in the last 10 years, we don't have enough water. And we're always not going to have enough water as long as we flush toilets with our water. If we recycled the water that's mostly in the house and not in the toilet, 85% of that can be recycled and used again the next day. And it's not that hard nor that expensive to do it, but you won't convince saws of that. But we're out on a ranch. You know, we used to have holes in the ground. No, I'm not advocating we go back to that. But in Europe, they've had composting toilets for thousands of years, and they're still used today. Go on YouTube, put in composting toilet and see what you get. They look just like a regular toilet. Some of them you have to actually empty, but they come with a little bag. You may have seen something like that when you walked your dog. Sorry. Yeah. You know, but those kinds of things are out there. So let's have some scouts study solar, water power. We got a great river and it flows. The headwaters of that river are 2 ranches over to the north of us. It's cold. It flows. It doesn't care about drought from what I can tell because it's still up. These are things that we need to work on and do. So you can expect that we're going to have lots more communication. You know, the staff is ready to do it. The board is ready to do it. And we want to invite you, you know, our board meetings, we have them about quarterly. The annual meeting was open this year. We invited every charter organization rep to be there for the entire meeting, did this basic presentation to them. You know, we want your input, however that can be, and we were open to you suggesting to us how we're going to do that. Okay? So I had this little pitch at this point. Are you ready to go? Can we get all this done? But I'm going to skip that because I think you are. And, you know, $580,000 a year. Sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Think about this for a second, though. That's 58 $10,000 corporate sponsorships. Do you know how many companies there are in this city and in our counties? All right. Or you can go the other way. It's $125,000 scholarship or sponsorships. And the best thing about those sponsorships, though, is yeah, it's a lot of work because usually when they tell you to fundraise, you go after $100,000. You go after this, you go after the big ones because it's not as much work. But how many times do you get to tell your story if you go after 60 or 120? That's what this is all about. And I'll bet as you sit here, you can probably, each of you in here can think of 2 or 3 people that maybe we should ask about either the $10,000 or the $5,000. And that's what this is all about. So we're on the verge of a great opportunity with this council. I would be surprised if we're not way up in membership if we just do a few things differently, be very visible. For example, we turned out over 200 and some odd Eagles this year. I got to sign my grandson's Eagles letter the other day because he got his Sunday night. Okay. Why is it we don't have a YouTube video, a public relations release or PR release, and some other story about every one of those Eagles and everything else good that happens? How do we become Facebook? Our kids will have all these little cool phones, you know? Darn it. We don't really want them to have those. Have you thought about that? If you haven't, read The Anxious Generation. Okay? We went through parenting where we just went like this and they're not allowed to go walk around on their own or go wild or whatever. So you hand them a phone. So somebody in Ukraine can tell them to go across the street and be met by whoever it is that's going to pick them up. Literally. But they all have phones. They all love to take pictures. How do we create something? And I don't know how to do this, but how do we create Facebook? Because that's all Facebook is. We upload all the content. How do our kids upload that content and tell the story about scouting? And I'll leave that thought with you. Thank you very much for everything you're doing. It is so important that you do it. And these kids got to have it. Thank you.
All right. I know, don't go anywhere, Jim. I know we're over time, but I want to take 5-10 minutes. If anybody has any questions for anybody that spoke tonight. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, can you ask that again? Yes. Our new roundtable commissioner is going to be correcting that.
The question out there in Zoom land was about roundtable links, and I know that was in the Zoom already, asking for the slide deck. One thing I will share that just was decided tonight is we will no longer be gating the Zoom links. We will be posting them with the calendar invites. And so if you've before had to like submit a request for a Zoom link, that is a thing of the past. The Zoom links will be open now.
All right. Looks like we got some folks leaving. So I have two requests before you leave. Request number one, if you got friends who are unit leaders or scouters who weren't here tonight, please tell them how great this roundtable was and encourage them to come to the next one. And request number two, please put your chair in the closet on your way out. And we have one last quick announcement about council-wide Pinewood Derby.
Hi. So we were talking about advancement, retention, engagement, funding. All these things can be solved with way more Pinewood Derby. Way more Pinewood Derby. We're the only city that I can find on any Facebook group related to Pinewood Derby that doesn't consistently do a big group, all Cub inclusive Pinewood Derby. So we're going to host one March 29th. March 29th, 2 p.m. This facility, probably the sports complex. I'm turned around over there. And I've got a QR code with some flyers. You're welcome to take a flyer, scan a QR. We've got more information on that, but we need a minimum of 2 YPT trained adults per Cub unit to accompany their scouts to this facility so we don't have to have them sign help forms. So my quick ask is, please go back to your units, find yourself and a friend who are YPT trained, and then start recruiting for that event on March 29th at 2 p.m. We want your fastest cars. We started this event so that groups who don't have their own can join us. We had a great turnout last year considering short notice, but this year I think we've got a month. I think we can get a lot of folks down here. So yeah, we have an Outlaw. Thank you. There's a adult 5-ounce graphite car and an unlimited Outlaw. And I see Mr. Jarvis back there who bested me at motorized cars last year. Excellent, excellent car. This year we have enough interest. We'll have a motorized category on top of all that too. So looking forward to a rematch, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scouters. Please put your chairs up. Have a good night.
All right, Zoomland, we're out of here. You guys have a great evening.